Welcome to Voris CLC's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month interview series. My name is Zuri and I'm a 4th grader here at Voris CLC. My guest today is Miss Mahli Mechenbier. Miss Mechenbier was adopted from South Vietnam after the Vietnam War. She grew up near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, where her father retired as a Major General. Miss Mechenbier is an English professor at Kent State University and teaches a variety of subjects. She has previously worked for the Ohio Senate, Stark County Juvenile Court, and Akron Municipal Court. She also travels the country as a keynote speaker. Miss Mechenbier was also one of Mr. Effinger's professors in 2005 and 2006. Miss Mechenbier, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us, and I want to welcome you.
Thank you, Zuri. It's my pleasure to be here.
And I have a few questions for you. Please tell us about your cultural background and how it has influenced your success.
Sure, thank you for asking. As you mentioned already, I was adopted by American parents when I was a baby, and I was a really little baby because when I was found in Vietnam, it was right after the Vietnam War, and Saigon had just fallen, which basically means it was chaotic, lots of fire. It's kind of what we see in the news right now with Ukraine. And so a lot of the babies were brought over to the United States for adoption, and I was fortunate enough to be on one of those planes and brought here during Operation Baby Lift.
That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing your influences. Who is a person that we may not have heard of who has inspired you and why?
When I was hired at Kent State University, the assistant dean at the time, Dr. Donna Moore Ramsey, told me that it's always important to remember to think of things from the perspective of people who might be afraid to raise their hand and ask. That hit me because I'm very energetic, and so I always just ask. Whenever I would just say, hey, and I would probably interrupt and ask. But that quote reminded me, and that piece of advice was important, because some people in a classroom aren't necessarily a speaker. They might be more comfortable in the back row. They might be more comfortable listening to their classmates first before they participate in a conversation. And so I always think about that when I'm teaching, because it's important, even for you and a group of friends, if you're playing, to include everyone and to make sure that everyone's perspectives are heard.
That is great. What do you feel is the best way for our students to celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month?
Well, as an English teacher, I have to say, it's always important to read about things you don't know. And when I was walking through your school, I was really enjoying reading the students' work on the walls. I saw some biographies and I saw some writing something about smoking, but your essays were very inspiring to me because it's important at your age to remember to share your perspective. Everyone has an opinion that's important. So, directly related to your question, read something about culture that you don't know. So this month it might be reading about the zodiac story for Lunar New Year and how the animals kind of came in the certain order. So I'm Year of the Rabbit, right? And this is actually my year. And so reading about the zodiac animals and how they came in that order is important. Or you might want to read an article about clothing, a different kind of clothing or a different kind of fabric that may not be from your culture, but may be associated with Asian cultures. And that might be something related to a holiday or a celebration that is new to you as well. So just making sure that you're curious, and welcoming the opportunities to gain information about things that will make you a whole person.
Great advice. Thank you for taking the time to share with us about your experience, influence, and success, Ms. Mechenbier. One last question. Do you have any good stories about Mr. Effinger?
Mr. Effinger preferred being called Captain Planet when he was in my class because I did, at the time, even though that was in 2005, a long time ago, I always gave my students a 3x5 card on the first day of class and they wrote down their preferred name. So I did call him Captain Planet. He also, very weirdly, always wore shorts to class even when it was snowing. So I would look up and Mr. Effinger would come to class and there he would be in a pair of shorts. And I still don't know how he did that without being cold. So you guys might want to ask him that later. But it doesn't surprise me that he is in the position he is in now with school because he was very organized. He got A's in class, which was excellent. And he got A's because he was a very broad thinker and he was able to answer things and write in a way with broad perspectives, which I appreciated. So his position with Akron City Schools doesn't surprise me at all because he was always a good leader.
Thank you for letting us know about your experiences and taking the time to speak with us, Ms. Mechenbier. This has been Zuri for Voris CLC.
Thank you, Zuri, for having me.
Bring